Hey man, here's a truth. Most people will never tell you. When she leaves you, she won't go looking for peace, she'll go looking for distraction. The moment she realizes you've stopped fighting for her, she'll panic. Not because she suddenly misses you, but because she's terrified of confronting the silence you left behind. That silence is loud. It echoes with every memory, every small detail she used to overlook. Your tone, your steadiness, the way you never needed to compete for her attention. And because she can't handle that silence, she'll rush to fill it. She'll pretend she's moved on. You'll see her post pictures, smiling like she's never been happier, surrounded by new faces that don't mean anything. But behind every post, every fake laugh, every filtered version of her new life, she's trying to convince herself that she can replace you. She can't, but she'll try, because pretending is easier than admitting she lost something real. The first man she finds after you will look nothing like you, by design. She'll choose someone the complete opposite of you to prove to herself that you were never special, that you were just another chapter. He might be loud, impulsive, maybe even fun, everything you weren't. But deep down, it's not love, it's rebellion. She's rebelling against the discipline you showed her, the calm that exposed her chaos, the strength that forced her to confront her own weakness. What she doesn't realize is that her rebellion is actually nostalgia in disguise. Every moment with that man will feel like an imitation, an empty replica of a connection she once had but didn't appreciate. She'll laugh louder, post more, pretend harder, but that void won't close. Because when a woman tries to replace substance with distraction, she doesn't heal, she fragments. And that's exactly what's happening to her now. In the beginning, it'll look like she's winning. You'll hear about her, see her pretending, maybe even catch glimpses of her new life, and it'll hurt. You'll think, maybe she really did move on. But wait, because the truth always takes its time. At first, she'll ride the high of attention, validation, and novelty. But the high always fades, and what comes next is the crash. The late night thoughts, the comparisons she can't stop making, the realization that she's surrounded by noise, yet completely alone. She'll scroll through old photos she told herself she deleted. She'll check your profile when no one's looking, and she'll start to notice something that shakes her to her core. You're not chasing her anymore. You're calm, composed, maybe even happier. And that's when it hits her. She's not the one who replaced you. You're the one who outgrew her. Women hate losing emotional control more than anything else. And when you no longer react, she loses that control. She'll test you without even realizing it. Small gestures, vague posts, half-hearted texts, indirect ways to see if she still matters. She's not reaching out for love, she's reaching out for confirmation. She wants to know she can still affect you. But every time you stay silent, every time you choose not to engage, she feels something she can't explain, irrelevance. You see, her power was never in who she was. It was in how much of your energy she could pull. And now that you've cut the cord, she's feeding on emptiness. That's why she keeps pretending. She's trying to fill the space where your attention used to live. But deep down, she knows no man will ever give her the same energy, because no man will ever see her the way you did. You see, you didn't just give her attention, you gave her understanding. You saw through her moods, her defenses, her chaos, and still chose to stay calm. Most men would have fought, argued, or begged. You didn't. And that's what terrified her the most. Because deep down, every woman knows the man who doesn't need her is the man she'll never forget. He's the one who forces her to confront herself. That's why she tries so hard to erase you. Not because she doesn't care, but because she does too much. She wants to bury the evidence of your impact by replacing you with distractions. But no matter how hard she tries, every new man will remind her of what she lost. Because she's not looking for someone new. She's looking for the feeling she had when she was with you. And that's something she'll never find again. Time will make the truth louder. The more she tries to move on, the more she'll realize she's just moving in circles. You see, when a woman pretends she's over a man she truly felt something for, it's never about him, it's about the void he left. That void becomes her new companion. It's in the songs she listens to, the places she avoids, the quiet moments she can't escape. She'll blame you for it at first. She'll say you were cold, detached, unavailable, but deep down she knows the truth. You weren't distant, you were disciplined. You weren't unavailable, you were selective. And the moment she realizes she lost a man who didn't beg, who didn't chase, who didn't crumble, she'll start to understand that emotional strength is rarer than love. That's the kind of realization that breaks a woman quietly, not all at once, but over time, piece by piece, memory by memory. She'll keep up the act for as long as she can. She'll keep posting, keep smiling, keep pretending that the man she's with now makes her happier. But there's something about a woman's energy that can't be faked forever. The sparkle fades, the enthusiasm feels forced. The glow she once had when she was around you, the one that came from feeling safe, seen, and steady, will never return. Because what women don't understand until it's too late is that no filter can replicate the feeling of being genuinely understood. You gave her that. And once a woman experiences a man's calm strength, she can't go back to emotional chaos, so she'll perform for the world, but inside, she's reliving the quiet comfort she once found in you, and that's why she can't replace you. Not because there aren't other men, but because none of them make her feel like home. Eventually, the mask begins to slip, the parties stop feeling fun, the compliments stop feeling real, and the man she thought would make her forget you starts to feel like a stranger. What once felt like freedom now feels like fatigue, because you can only perform happiness for so long before it becomes exhausting. She'll start noticing how much effort she puts into pretending everything is fine, how every smile feels heavier than the last. And in that exhaustion, your memory creeps back in, not as nostalgia, but as contrast. She'll remember how effortless it felt to just exist around you, how you didn't need to impress her or demand anything from her, you just were. That energy, that calmness, that sense of security, those aren't things she can recreate. They're not teachable, they're felt. And the more she tries to fill the void with new experiences, the more she realizes she's only drifting further from what was once real. There's a psychological irony that plays out here. The harder she tries to prove she's over you, the deeper she falls into the emotional orbit you left behind. Because pretending is a form of resistance, and resistance is just another kind of attachment. Every time she posts about being happy or healed, she's subconsciously validating your impact. Every new man she entertains isn't replacing you, he's competing with your memory. And that's a battle he'll never win, because he's fighting a ghost. He doesn't know he's being compared to someone who no longer needs comparison. You've detached, you've elevated. She's still anchored in the same emotional chaos that drove her to leave in the first place. That's why her replacements never last. They can't. Because she's not looking for love anymore. She's looking for the feeling of being understood without explanation, and that's something only you ever gave her. You'll notice something strange about women when they regret losing a man like you. They'll never admit it directly. Instead, it leaks through their actions. The way they hover near your online presence, the way they bring your name up indirectly, or the way they suddenly become defensive when someone mentions you. It's because regret has no outlet. She can't say, "I messed up," because that would mean facing the truth of who you were and who she was when she lost you. And that's too painful. So she turns that energy inward. It becomes self-sabotage disguised as confidence. She'll try to convince everyone that she's better off, but her eyes tell a different story, one that only you'd recognize, because once upon a time, those same eyes used to soften when they looked at you. Now they hide something, shame, and no amount of pretending can conceal that forever. You've probably noticed by now that peace has a strange effect. It makes you invisible to those still living in chaos. That's why she doesn't understand you anymore. The man she knew was emotionally available, invested, and reactive to her moods. The man you are now moves differently. You've learned that love without respect is poison, that attention without peace is chaos, and that sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is silence. You've stopped reacting. You've stopped explaining. You've stopped chasing the illusion of closure. And the more you focus inward, the more she feels that distance like a weight pressing on her chest. She can't comprehend how you could detach so completely because she still defines love through emotional dependence. But you've evolved. You love without attachment. You care without losing yourself. And that kind of man, once gone, doesn't return. As time stretches on, she'll start questioning herself in ways she never expected. She'll wonder if she was too hard on you, too quick to leave, too blinded by pride to appreciate what she had. These questions won't come during the day. When distractions are loud, they'll come at night, when the world is quiet. That's when your memory returns, like a mirror, forcing her to face what she refused to see. And what she'll realize is painful. She was loved by a man who didn't just want her, but chose her every single day. A man who could have left at any point, but stayed until staying meant losing himself. That's the kind of love that's hard to forget because it's rare, it's selfless, it's masculine in its discipline and divine in its restraint. And once she sees that kind of love in hindsight, she'll realize that what she mistook for detachment was actually strength, and that's when regret truly begins. Here's the part that most men never understand. You don't need her to admit she misses you. Her life will do it for her. Every pattern, every failed relationship, every emotional high followed by an emptiness she can't name, those are her confessions. Because real regret doesn't need words. It lives in repetition. She'll keep finding versions of you in other men, men who look like you, talk like you, even dress like you, but none of them are you. They won't have your stillness. They won't have your emotional control. They won't have your integrity, because these aren't things that can be mimicked. They're forged through pain, through lessons, through growth, and that's why you stand apart. You didn't become colder after her. You became clearer. You learned that love is only as valuable as the respect that comes with it. And the moment you stopped chasing love that didn't value you, you became the kind of man no woman can truly forget. Eventually, she'll look back at the moment she left you and realize it wasn't power, it was panic. She thought leaving would make her feel free, but instead, it made her feel lost. Because she didn't leave you for someone better, she left to escape her own reflection. You mirrored her insecurities. You exposed her emotional immaturity without ever saying a word. And now, as she looks back, she realizes that you were never trying to change her, you were trying to understand her, but understanding feels uncomfortable to someone who's used to validation. That's why she ran, because it's easier to be adored for an illusion than accepted for your flaws. Yet, with every new relationship, she sees the same pattern: men who want her body, not her soul. Men who chase her attention, not her peace. And in that cycle of temporary highs, she finally sees what she lost. A man who loved her with presence, not performance. But here's what you must understand. Her pretending isn't your problem anymore. Her performance isn't your concern. The moment you stopped trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it, you became untouchable. Because men who know their value don't fight for acknowledgement. They move on in silence. You're no longer the man she left. You're the man she can't reach, and that's what haunts her most. It's not your absence, it's your evolution. She'll realize that her moving on didn't break you, it built you. While she was chasing distractions, you were mastering discipline. While she was seeking validation, you were creating vision. And now, even if she came back, she'd find that the version of you she once knew no longer exists. You've grown beyond her emotional reach, and that's the ultimate revenge. It always happens gradually. The illusion she's built around herself begins to fracture. Not with a loud crash, but with soft cracks she can no longer ignore. The new man who once seemed exciting begins to reveal his shallowness. Conversations that once distracted her now feel empty. The attention she gets no longer excites her, it irritates her. Because once a woman has been truly seen by a man of depth, all surface level affection becomes noise. She'll catch herself thinking about how easy things felt when she was with you, how she could just breathe around you, how you didn't demand, didn't chase, didn't try to fix her, you simply understood her. That's when the panic sets in, because she realizes she didn't just lose a lover, she lost emotional gravity. You were her anchor in a world built on temporary highs, and now she's floating through people who all feel the same, hollow, temporary, replaceable. In those quiet hours of truth, she'll finally admit to herself, though never out loud, that every replacement was an illusion. They were distractions from the pain of losing something she never thought she would. The irony? She thought you'd always be there. She mistook your loyalty for weakness, your patience for dependency. She thought she could leave, and you'd still be waiting. But now she's forced to watch you from a distance, unbothered, centered, and living with purpose. You're not posting for attention. You're not trying to make her jealous. You're just at peace, and that peace stings more than any anger could, because anger means you still care. Peace means you've healed, and nothing cuts deeper into a woman's ego than realizing the man she expected to chase her no longer sees her as part of his story. The universe has a strange way of humbling those who take genuine love for granted. Everything she once wanted, the thrill, the validation, the constant excitement, starts to lose meaning. She begins to notice the emptiness beneath the surface of modern relationships, the lack of loyalty, the absence of depth, the endless cycle of seeking attention, only to feel lonelier each time. And slowly, the illusion she clung to collapses under its own weight. She'll look around and realize that everyone seems to be pretending just like she was, pretending to be happy, pretending to move on, pretending to feel fulfilled, but no one truly is. That's when she'll think of you again, not as a memory, but as a symbol of everything real she walked away from. You weren't perfect, but you were present. You weren't flashy, but you were loyal. And now, surrounded by people chasing temporary highs, she finally understands that consistency was the real luxury. The tragedy for her is that she can't undo the lesson, because the man she once knew doesn't exist anymore. You've evolved past the point where she can reach you emotionally. Her messages, if they ever come, will feel foreign. Not because you hate her, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed her validation. She'll try to draw you back into the game she used to win, subtle hints, nostalgic references, emotional bait, but none of it will work. You'll read her message and feel nothing. Not anger, not affection, just calm detachment. That's what true healing looks like. You've reclaimed your energy, you've redefined love, you no longer chase connection out of loneliness, you allow it when it aligns with your peace. And the cruelest part of it all? That peace you now live in, that's the same energy she once begged you to give her when you were together. But now that you embody it for yourself, she can only watch. At some point, she'll stop pretending, the smiles will fade, the bravado will quiet down. And in her solitude, she'll finally understand what she ran from herself. Because all along, you weren't her problem. You were her mirror. You reflected the parts of her she didn't want to face: her insecurity, her immaturity, her inability to love without ego. That's why she pushed you away, because you made her confront who she truly was. But the irony of life is this: the lessons we resist the most are the ones that transform us. And you were her greatest lesson. You taught her that not all men are replaceable, that genuine love demands emotional maturity, and that peace isn't boring, it's sacred. She may never say it, but deep down she knows it. She'll never meet another man like you again. Not because you were the best at everything, but because you were the only one who didn't play the game. You were the reality in a world full of illusions. Eventually, that realization begins to eat at her. She'll start revisiting moments you shared. Not the big ones, but the quiet ones. The ones she didn't even realize mattered at the time. The way you listened when she spoke. The way your energy calmed her when her world was falling apart. The way you never raised your voice even when you were angry. Those moments will replay in her mind with painful clarity. She'll remember the small things you did, how you made her feel safe without needing to prove anything, how you protected her energy even when she didn't protect yours. And it will hit her that she mistook all of that for weakness. She'll finally understand that what she once called boring was actually peace, and what she thought was emotional distance was emotional maturity. But by then it's too late, because once a man reaches that level of self-respect, he becomes a mirror women can't bear to look into, a reflection of what they could have had but weren't ready to handle. She'll go through cycles: denial, nostalgia, anger, and finally quiet acceptance. The denial will be strong at first. She'll tell herself she's better off, that you weren't as great as she remembers, but her heart won't buy the lie. Nostalgia will creep in when she least expects it, during songs, scents, or places you once went together. Anger will follow when she realizes she can't control what she's feeling anymore. She'll try to blame you again, call you emotionally unavailable, detached, cold, but deep down she knows the truth. You were just disciplined enough not to lose yourself trying to love her. And then comes the final stage: acceptance. Not of peace, but of loss. She'll accept that you're gone, not just physically, but energetically. You no longer orbit her world, you no longer seek her validation, and that kind of disappearance, the quiet, permanent kind, is what truly breaks her. But you've built something indestructible. The pain that once controlled you has turned into wisdom. The confusion that once consumed you has turned into clarity. You've learned that love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means letting go, so both people can meet themselves. You no longer see her as the villain in your story, you see her as the catalyst, because without her chaos, you wouldn't have discovered your peace. Without her rejection, you wouldn't have learned detachment. Without her leaving, you wouldn't have become who you are now. And that's the divine irony. She thought she was teaching you a lesson by walking away, but it was you who became the teacher. You mastered what most men never do, the art of emotional control, the ability to care deeply without becoming dependent, the strength to love without losing yourself. That's the kind of transformation only heartbreak can forge. She'll eventually come back, not always in person, but energetically. Maybe it's a message that says, "Hey, I've been thinking about you." Maybe it's a random like on an old photo. Maybe it's a mutual friend saying, "She asked about you the other day." But you'll know what it really means. It's not love, it's regret disguised as curiosity. It's the emotional version of touching a scar to see if it still hurts. But by then it won't. You'll read her message and there won't be a rush of adrenaline or confusion, just calm. Because your silence isn't revenge anymore, it's clarity. You'll realize that forgiveness isn't about letting her back in, it's about freeing yourself from needing closure. She doesn't need to understand how much she hurt you. You don't need her validation anymore. The peace you have now is worth more than any apology she could ever offer. That's the beautiful paradox of masculine peace. It doesn't roar, it radiates. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to win the breakup, or outshine her online, or make her jealous. Your growth itself is the victory, because in a world obsessed with validation, the man who no longer needs it becomes untouchable. You've learned to move through life with purpose, not pain, to build, not beg, to lead, not chase. And while she's still performing happiness, you're living it. Not because you've forgotten her, but because you've forgiven yourself for staying too long with someone who didn't value you. That's real closure. That's real strength. That's the difference between her pretending she's healed and you actually being healed. She'll spend years trying to replace what you've become, but she never will, because you were never just a man to her. You were her awakening, and awakenings, they don't fade, they echo. There comes a moment when every man realizes that the true battle was never with her, it was with himself. You'll look back and see how much energy you once poured into trying to be understood, validated, appreciated, and now you don't even need it. That's growth. You've evolved past the need to explain your worth because you embody it. You've stopped negotiating with people who can't afford your presence and started walking away with quiet confidence. The beauty of this stage is that it's not born from bitterness, it's born from awareness. You see the patterns now. You understand the cycles. You know that some women will mistake your peace for coldness because they're addicted to chaos, but you don't take it personally anymore. You just smile and keep walking because you've learned that not every connection deserves a reaction. Some things are meant to end, not because they failed, but because they taught you what not to accept again. That's the part that changes everything. The realization that your silence is more powerful than your presence ever was. When she was in your life, your attention was her validation. Every message, every effort, every reaction told her she still mattered. But when you withdrew that energy, the illusion collapsed. You stopped feeding the dynamic that gave her control. And that silence, it doesn't scream, it echoes, it forces reflection. She'll start asking herself questions she's never asked before. Why doesn't he care anymore? Why doesn't he react? Why does this peace feel so heavy? What she doesn't realize is that your detachment isn't an act, it's evolution. You've stopped playing emotional tug of war because you've realized the prize isn't her, it's your self-respect. And that's what drives her crazy. Not that you're gone, but that you're okay without her. Because in her world, men always come back. You didn't. And that's what makes you unforgettable. Every man who's walked through heartbreak and come out stronger carries something rare. Presence. It's the quiet, grounded energy that can't be faked. It's what makes people turn their heads when you walk into a room, even if you don't say a word. It's not arrogance, it's mastery. You've learned to sit with pain instead of running from it. You've learned to observe instead of react. You've learned that love isn't about proving your worth. It's about protecting your peace. And that kind of energy is magnetic. People will start noticing. Women will look at you differently. They won't understand why, but they'll feel it. The difference between a man who chases validation and one who has already found it within. You've become the kind of man who doesn't need attention to feel powerful, because true power doesn't shout, it radiates through the discipline of detachment. Meanwhile, she'll keep orbiting your memory like a planet caught in gravity. Every time she meets someone new, she'll compare him to you, not consciously, but emotionally. She'll notice how they talk, how they treat her, how they react when she pulls away. None of them will match your steadiness. None of them will mirror your calm, because they're still trying to impress her. You stopped trying to convince her long ago. You became the man who simply is. And that contrast will haunt her, because the world is full of men who talk, but empty of men who move in silence. You became the standard she never knew she had until it was gone. And even if she tells herself she's over you, her emotions will betray her. That's the thing about real masculine energy. It leaves an imprint, not one that fades, but one that forever shifts how she experiences men after you. So when you think about everything that happened, the arguments, the confusion, the heartbreak, remember this, none of it was wasted. You were being refined. Every disappointment, every rejection, every moment you felt not enough, it was chiseling away the boy within you, so the man could emerge. You stopped seeking comfort in chaos and started finding clarity in solitude. You learned that your value isn't proven by how much you give, but by how well you protect what you've built. You realized that losing her wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Preparation for the life you're meant to live, for the love that aligns with your peace, for the purpose that doesn't demand your self-betrayal. And the best part? You didn't have to destroy her to win. You just had to outgrow her. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a man can do is walk away with his dignity intact and never look back. There's a strange peace that comes after all the storms you've survived. It's not loud or triumphant, it's quiet, almost eerie. You'll wake up one morning and realize that you don't feel anything toward her anymore. No bitterness, no longing, no urge to check her profile, not even curiosity. It's as if your nervous system has finally caught up with your soul. The addiction to her chaos has been replaced with a calm that feels foreign at first, but liberating once you settle into it. You've stepped out of the emotional maze she kept you trapped in, and the air tastes different now. It tastes like freedom. Meanwhile, she's beginning to suffocate. Because when a man stops feeding a woman emotionally, she loses her power. The same silence that healed you becomes the mirror that forces her to confront everything she was avoiding. It's at this stage she starts remembering the version of herself she liked when she was with you. The one who laughed more, worried less, and felt safe. You see, women rarely miss the man, they miss who they were when they were around him. She'll replay your moments not because she wants to rekindle love, but because she wants to feel that sense of emotional safety again. But that's the cruel irony, she can't feel that way anymore, because what gave her peace was your stability, your masculine calm, your refusal to play her emotional games. You became her grounding force, and when she lost that, her world began to spin again. So she'll try to replicate it, with new men, with new distractions, with forced smiles, but nothing hits the same, because it was never about what you did, it was about who you were. As she spirals through temporary connections, you rise higher in silence. Every day, your detachment becomes your armor. You start to realize that love isn't about constant access, it's about alignment. You no longer crave her validation because you found something far more powerful, self-respect. You begin to channel your energy into your growth, your work, your fitness, your discipline, your peace. You stop explaining your boundaries, stop justifying your silence, and stop trying to make anyone understand. The man you've become doesn't chase closure, he creates it. You've reached a point where her opinion no longer defines your worth. You define it by the way you show up for yourself every day. That shift in energy, it's not arrogance, it's ascension. It's the quiet realization that peace is the ultimate form of revenge. And yet, even as you ascend, she watches from afar, pretending not to care, but still keeping tabs. She'll see you growing, thriving, smiling, and something inside her will ache. Because you were supposed to break. You were supposed to crawl back, begging for the connection she carelessly tossed away. But instead, you did the unthinkable. You got better. You became the man she always wanted, but no longer has access to. That realization burns. It eats at her pride, because now she's forced to face the truth. She didn't just lose you, she lost her emotional dominance. The very thing that made her feel powerful, your attention is gone. and in its absence, she finally understands what true loss feels like. It's not about missing someone's presence, it's about missing their energy. And your energy, it's something she'll spend years chasing in other men and never find again. But here's the most profound part. You're no longer doing any of this to prove anything. You're not healing to make her jealous. You're not building to show her what she lost. You're simply existing in your truth. And that authenticity, that grounded, unbothered energy is what drives her mad, because she can't manipulate what she no longer influences. You've transcended her narrative. You've stepped out of her emotional frequency and tuned into something higher. That's the kind of growth that can't be faked. It's the point where you realize that peace is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. You've learned to feel without reacting, to care without clinging, and to love without losing yourself. That's not coldness, that's power. The kind of power no woman can take from you ever again. As time passes, she'll try to convince herself that she's over it. She'll tell her friends, it was never that deep, or he wasn't what I wanted anyway. But her body will betray her words, because every time she hears your name, every time a song reminds her of you, every time she passes a place where your energy once lingered, her chest will tighten. That's how emotional memory works. It's not logic that binds two people, it's energetic imprint. You've left yours in her nervous system. She may have new conversations, new dates, even new lovers, but none of it erases that deep psychological connection she once had with you. Because you weren't just another man who wanted her, you were the one who saw her. And being truly seen, then losing that, it's something no distraction can heal. Meanwhile, your world keeps expanding. The silence that once felt empty now feels sacred. You begin to appreciate solitude, not as loneliness, but as peace reclaimed. You fill your days with purpose, waking up early, focusing on your mission, working out, chasing excellence instead of validation. The energy you once gave away freely now fuels your discipline. Every boundary you enforce reinforces your strength, and this new version of you doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't react. You've become centered, rooted in your masculine essence. You no longer seek women for escape or ego boosts. You seek depth, but you're no longer afraid to walk alone until it appears. That shift alone separates you from most men, because detachment isn't about indifference, it's about power under control. You've stopped being emotionally available to chaos, and that is your greatest evolution. She'll sense this shift, even from afar. It's a strange thing women can feel when a man's energy detaches completely. At first, she won't believe it. She'll test the waters. Maybe she'll post something vague online, hoping you'll respond. Maybe she'll send a casual message, hey, just checking in. But this time, you won't take the bait. You'll see through the pattern, because it's not love she's offering, it's control. She wants to know she still matters, that she can still pull an emotion out of you. But your silence now is different. It's not forced, it's peaceful. You're no longer ignoring her to get a reaction. You're just genuinely uninterested in revisiting that version of yourself. You've moved on mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and that kind of detachment, it's irreversible. At some point, she'll look at herself and realize something devastating. She mistook your peace for passivity. She confused your restraint for weakness. She thought she could replace you easily because she never understood that real masculinity isn't about dominance, it's about emotional mastery. And now that she's faced with men who can't handle her chaos, who crumble under her emotional storms, she'll crave the stability she once rejected. She'll think back to how you responded to her disrespect, not by yelling, not by begging, but by simply walking away. That memory alone will sting more than any argument could, because she'll finally see that you didn't leave to punish her, you left to protect your peace. And once a man reaches that level of self-respect, there's no coming back. Not for her, not for anyone who mistook his kindness for weakness. But here's what truly breaks her, your happiness without her. When she finally sees you smiling again, not forced, not faked, but real, she'll crumble inside, because for the first time, she'll realize she no longer has access to your emotions. You're no longer hers to manipulate, comfort, or confuse. She'll see that your glow up wasn't about revenge, but rebirth. You've built peace she can't enter, and she'll replay every decision, every moment she pushed you away, and realize what she really lost. It wasn't your attention, It wasn't your time, it was your presence. That rare, grounded, masculine energy that made her feel safe, desired, and understood. And no matter how many men she meets after you, none will replicate that energy, because it's not something you find, it's something you earn. You earned it through pain, discipline, and letting go. Eventually, she'll reach that phase of quiet desperation, the point where she stops pretending. The mask slips, the laughter fades, the nights get longer. She'll scroll through your old messages, revisiting every moment when you adored her, when you gave her what no one else ever did. Consistency. That's the one thing women never forget, even if they never admit it. Consistency. The warmth of knowing a man was there without needing to be chased, the calmness of a masculine presence that didn't demand, didn't beg, just was. When you leave, that security dies with you. And as much as she tries to fill that gap with attention from others, it's like drinking salt water. It only makes her thirstier, because she can't recreate that dynamic again. You weren't just another chapter, you were the story she never learned how to finish properly. But while she sinks deeper into confusion, you rise into clarity. The beauty of walking away from a woman who didn't value you is that it resets your life entirely. You start rebuilding from the inside out. You learn to enjoy silence. You start to like being alone, because solitude no longer equals loneliness, it equals power. You realize that your peace, your focus, and your drive were the real currencies all along. And the more you invest in those, the more the universe rewards you. You stop chasing women, and they start chasing your energy, because true masculine power doesn't need validation, it creates gravity. Your energy begins to attract people, opportunities, and relationships that align with your higher self. What she called cold was never cold, it was control. Emotional control, something she never had, but always craved in you. It's around this point that she starts to romanticize the man you used to be, forgetting that she was the reason that version of you no longer exists. She'll remember your softness, your patience, your humor, but not how many times she ignored your effort. She'll replay the good moments and skip over the parts where you were left unseen. That's what women do when guilt catches up. They rewrite the past to make it bearable. But the truth stays the same. She had your loyalty, and she traded it for excitement. She confused thrill with love, chaos with connection, and attention with affection. Now she's stuck in a loop of temporary highs and permanent emptiness. Because once a man like you detaches, she realizes something horrifying. She wasn't the prize, you were. You, on the other hand, no longer carry resentment. That's what real healing looks like. Not indifference born from pain, but peace born from perspective. You see the entire situation differently now. You understand that her actions came from fear, from emotional immaturity, from her inability to handle the depth you brought. You no longer take it personally. In fact, you're almost grateful, because if she hadn't walked away, you would have never learned what real strength feels like. The kind that doesn't come from control, but from letting go. That's where you win. Not by getting her back, but by outgrowing the need for her. Every time you choose silence over reaction, every time you choose discipline over distraction, you reclaim another piece of yourself. You've become what she could never handle, a man who's whole on his own. And then one day, she'll finally realize it. Maybe she'll see you in person, collected, calm, and glowing in a way she's never seen before. Maybe she'll see a photo of you smiling, surrounded by peace, surrounded by people who match your energy. It'll hit her in waves. The regret won't come all at once. It'll come in moments when she's alone, when she's scrolling late at night, when she sees something that reminds her of you. That's when she'll whisper to herself, "I messed up." But by then, it'll be too late, because you've already closed that chapter, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. You've realized that love isn't about fixing people who don't want to grow. It's about protecting your peace, your time, your soul. And in doing so, you've become the man she'll never stop thinking about, the man she'll remember for the rest of her life. When that moment of realization hits her, the one where she truly understands what she lost, it won't come with dramatic tears or public confessions. It'll come quietly, in the middle of the night, when the noise of the world dies down, and her mind finally stops running from the truth. She'll remember your voice, the way you made her feel seen without needing to say much, the stillness you carried, even when everything around you was chaos. That stillness will haunt her, because no matter how many men she meets, no one brings that energy. She'll scroll through conversations with new guys and feel nothing. She'll replay her old texts with you and feel everything. That's how regret works. It shows up long after you've stopped caring. And that's when she'll understand that losing a man who truly cared isn't just losing love, it's losing peace. Meanwhile, you'll notice something profound happening. You no longer crave her, not even in memory. The emotions that once controlled you are now replaced by clarity. You've detached not because you hate her, but because you finally see her for who she really is. You've stopped chasing the illusion of potential and accepted the truth of reality. That's the highest form of maturity. Seeing someone's flaws clearly and no longer needing them to change for you to be at peace. You don't look back with anger or longing anymore. You look back with understanding. You realize that her purpose in your life wasn't to stay, it was to awaken you. She was the lesson that taught you to value your energy, to guard your heart, and to recognize that love without respect is just emotional chaos wearing a mask. And the irony is, that's when your silence becomes your loudest statement. You see, there's nothing more unsettling to a woman who once had control than realizing she no longer affects you. Your calm becomes her chaos. Your indifference becomes her obsession, because she's wired to seek emotional validation, and you've stopped giving it. You've removed her from the center of your universe, and now she's floating in the emptiness of her own choices. Every man she meets after you will be compared subconsciously, not to how you looked, but to how you made her feel. That grounded confidence, that unshakable focus, that calm detachment, those are qualities that stay imprinted long after you're gone. You didn't just exit her life, you changed the way she experiences men, and she'll spend years chasing that energy, never realizing she drove it away herself. This is the part of the story no one talks about, the aftermath of emotional mastery. When you finally reach a place where your silence isn't a tactic, but a lifestyle. You no longer react to disrespect, you withdraw from it. You no longer chase attention, you attract it naturally through purpose and presence. You become the man who doesn't explain, doesn't beg, doesn't compete, because you've realized that everything a woman truly respects is born from what you withhold, not what you give freely. You've reclaimed your emotional power, and that's what makes you untouchable. You've stopped living to be understood and started living to be at peace. That's the shift that separates men who get drained by women from men who get desired by them. You've crossed that line, and there's no going back. So when she finally breaks down one day, when the weight of her choices becomes too heavy to ignore, remember this: you didn't lose her, she lost you. You lost nothing by walking away from someone who couldn't appreciate your depth. She lost everything when she mistook your silence for weakness. Because while she's still stuck in cycles of validation, you've evolved into something far greater. You've become a man of peace, of presence, of purpose. The kind of man who no longer needs to prove his worth, because his life speaks for him. That's your victory. Not revenge, not her regret, but your rebirth. You are no longer chasing what once hurt you. You're becoming the calm that she'll spend the rest of her life trying to find again. And that, my friend, is how the story truly ends, not with anger, but with freedom.